to create a movement. So if you have a business and your sales might not be that great, okay? And if you are struggling with your sales, it might be because you have not created a movement around your brand. You have not created a movement around you as an individual. You have not created a movement around your business. So let's talk about that, okay? So the first thing that you need to tackle, this is number one. Guess what? Your brand needs to reflect the lifestyle of your ideal client or audience. That's right. So what do I mean by that? Good question. Glad that you asked. So I'll give you an example, and I'll use myself as an example. As an entrepreneur, I talk about entrepreneurship. As a business coach, I focus on entrepreneurship, but I focus on entrepreneurship for a select group of people, a specific niche. That niche is African American women. And so everything that we talk about is being empowered, having independence, having the flexibility to be able to take care of your family and take kids to doctor's appointments, or if you have elderly parents, to be there for them, but still be able to generate revenue. Those are the things that my clients are looking for as entrepreneurs. And so that is the lifestyle that I have and that my clients have as well. So part of my movement is that the lifestyle that we all have and the lifestyle that many of us are working towards is one of flexibility, one of independence, one that we call our own shots, that we are in control of everything that's taking place around us and within our business. So that is the first thing that you're going to need. You need to sit down and say, hey, does my brand reflect the lifestyle of my audience or my ideal client? If it doesn't, that's an adjustment that you need to make. And you're going to see why you need to make that adjustment in just a few minutes. So what is the second thing that you need? So the second thing that you're going to need is your brand needs to make people move. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by your brand needs to make people move? So are you inspiring people? Does your business inspire people? Do you inspire people? We have some people who just feel like, well, I built it. I built this business. There it is. I put it on social media. That's it. Like, y'all are just supposed to buy stuff from me. They don't do anything to inspire people, to make people say, well, I want to be a part of that, or I want more of that, or, like they get excited to see you and there's this energy around you. Like if you just sitting there a dud on a log and your thing is, or you're arrogant and you feel like, well, hey, y'all are just supposed to flock to me. I don't have to do anything. You're not inspiring people. If you're not giving people a reason to connect with you, if you're not giving people something that makes them say, I want to go and learn more about you. So let me go to your website. Let me go to this webinar that you're offering. Let me get this free handout that you're giving away. Like, you have to be able to inspire them. You also need to be able to connect them. So that means that you're connecting them to resources that they can actually use, not BS resources, but resources that they can take and they can actually do something with them. You're also making them be accountable. And so in that accountability, that means that they're going to start seeing results. And guess what? When people start seeing results, they are inspired. They get excited. And that is definitely something that you want to have. You definitely want to have that. Okay. So what is the third thing that you need to have? I'm glad that you asked. The third thing that needs to be taking place is you need to be moving, okay? And in you moving, guess what? That means that your brand needs to get people to move too. So that's part of the inspiration. But you moving means that you have to be excited. You have to be inspired about your brand and what it is that you are doing. A lot of people start businesses and they aren't excited about them. They don't get motivated, and they're doing it because they saw somebody else on social media do it, and that person said they made a lot of money. So, hey, I'm gonna try it. This sounds like a good thing, but their heart isn't into it. There is no passion, there's no fire. And honestly, I like to say they're not practicing what they preach. We see that happen a lot. People do not practice what they preach. And who's seen that happen? If you're out here and you're on social media, it's starting to really show up a lot now, where you're having people as the copycats and everybody has the same message and everybody's doing the same thing. And when you look at their social media pages, everybody's stuff looks the same and nobody's standing out. But also, they're not moving. Like, there's no excitement. And you're just sitting there like, well, if you're not excited, why should I be excited about what it is that you're doing? And so then that means if I'm not excited, hey, I'm not going to be moving. I'm not being inspired by you and what it is that you're doing. So, number 4, you have to be worth following. This is so important. And again, this goes back to people just being dull. This goes to people, they don't even know why people should follow them. They don't know what makes them unique, what makes them stand out. So I always hear people say, Dr. Carey, the market is so saturated. There's so many people out there doing what I do or doing what I want to do. Okay, that's true. There are a lot of business coaches out there. But for me, it's what makes me different, what makes me unique, what makes people want to follow me, what's in it for them, what makes me different. And so for me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've owned several different businesses. I'm also not trying to be a business coach to everybody. I'm only trying to be a business coach to a certain segment of people. And those are women who look like me. A lot of those women have been in their careers for like 20, 30 years. They're ready to get out, but they're not ready to retire. And they still have some passion in them and they want to go and do something different. Those are the women that I work with. Those are my ideal clients. And so that's what makes me different. A lot of our business coaches that we're seeing out here today, their focus is really on millennials or Generation Z. Nobody's really focusing on Generation X. Hey, that's us. Like, we're not baby boomers. We're really not that old. Like, I'm 51. And so, but we don't hear anyone really out there saying, well, you can start a business too. If you go in, if you're in retirement, this is something different that you can do. So that's what makes me different. That is what makes me unique, that I'm really dealing with the forgotten generation, the generation that is usually passed over for everything, especially if we're out there looking for a job in our 50s and no one wants to hire us. They come and see me and we start talking about how they can generate revenue by starting a business that they love, or taking something that was a side hustle while they were working that 9-to-5 all those years, scaling it and growing it, and they can start making the income that they desire to make. So that's what makes me different. That is what makes me worth following. So number 5 was the 5th thing that you need. You need to have a clear message. Again, your message can't be all over the place. You cannot be out here listening to everyone else. You have to have your own message that defines your brand and your business and you. Yes, you. So my message can't be like everyone else. My message has to be unique to me. And I'll give you guys a perfect example. Actually, this past weekend, someone DM'd me over here on LinkedIn, and they wanted to know, it was in regards to a comment that I had made regarding the Vanity Fair cover with Breonna Taylor. And so I had made the comment, yes, I did, that I felt that it wasn't to bring justice to her violent death. I felt that they were using the cover as a way to attract African American buyers. This was a marketing move. This was a move for them to tap into another segment, another audience that their magazine really doesn't aspire to connect with. Well, in the past, they didn't. And so the person wanted to know, because I am an educated Black woman, why didn't I take that further? Why didn't I expound on that and say why I felt all of that was problematic and come up with a solution? And my answer was real simple. That's not my jam. That's not what I do. I don't do politics. I'm an activist, but my activism takes place off the radar. And so again, my message on social media and what I do is entrepreneurship. So I looked at that cover from a business perspective, and I put it in the context of what I saw taking place from a business owner's perspective. This is what I saw them doing. As an activist, yes, I could have taken that in a whole different direction and talked about a lot of things that I saw were going wrong with that. From a diversity and inclusion perspective, I could have, but that is not my message. And so I have to remain true to my message, but my message has to always remain clear. And this is where I see a lot of people getting caught up, is that their message is changing. Because again, they're listening to all of the noise that is out there on social media, and they are not focusing within. They are not silencing the noise around them and focusing on their business, focusing on why they created this business, who their business is supposed to help, and what is their core message? What is their mission statement? You see so many business owners out there they are really missing the mark when it comes to this, that their message is not clear. And so that's something that you really got to work on. If you don't have a clear message, I need you to work on that right now. And in that clear message, that becomes a part of your branding. So when you're putting content out there on social media, is it all consistent? Is it staying with the lifestyle of your audience? So again, my lifestyle of my audience is entrepreneurship. So my message is about entrepreneurship. My message is about small business owners, especially Black women business owners. So again, you got to be clear about what your message is. If you're not clear about it, guess what? It's not going to be clear to others on social media. They're not going to just sit there and weed through and magically figure it out. You've got to be clear with what you're putting out there, and that message needs to stay the same. So, number 6, give people something worth following. Say that again. Give people something worth following. So what do I mean by that? Okay, again, you got to figure out what makes you, why should people follow you? What makes you unique? Okay. And then in that, you need to show up every time and give people that. Give people your uniqueness, because that is why they are following you, because they like your message. They are attracted to what it is that you are saying. You've got to be consistent in that. Also, that means that you have to sit down and do some planning. You cannot just haphazardly click on your computer and say, I'm going to go live today, but there is no method or a reason as to why you are going live. You just decided to go live because you're in a restaurant and you want all of us to know that you went out to eat. If you are not a food blogger, I I could care less what you're eating. I'm following you for a specific reason. I need to see that. And I only want to see that. Yes, you can show me snippets of your life, but how does that relate to your brand and to your message? And again, a lot of people miss the mark on that. They don't give people something worth following them for. Their content is not thought out. They're not using free resources like Canva. I mean, Canva is free, guys, okay? So their stuff doesn't look good. They're not sitting down figuring out how to actually use the iPhone that they have that takes really great pictures so you don't have to go out and buy these expensive cameras. They're not educating themselves to figure out how I can give people just this dynamic presence of me, that everything that I give them is going to be 100%. Like, you have got to give people something that is worth following, because if you don't, guess what? Again, we said this, the market is saturated. They're going to go find somebody else to follow. They don't have to follow you. They will go and find someone else who's doing exactly what you're doing, and they will start to follow them. So you've got to keep that in mind, that if I'm not giving my followers something worth following, they are going to jump ship. We live in an instant society. People don't have time to sit here and try and figure it out and you get it together. When you come online, you need to have it together. When they go to your website, you need to have it together, and everything needs to be crystal clear. And you've got to be drawing them in every time. You've got to keep their attention. And so that means you're going to have to sit down and do some planning. You might have to spend some money because, hey, running a business is not free. But if you're trying to do all of this just piecemealing and putting everything together for free, you don't want to invest in your business, it is going to start to show. And again, people are not sticking around for that anymore. You've got to come correct 100% of the time. Okay. And so again, gives people something that's worth following so that they will continue to come back again and again and again. So my last one for tonight, have a bold voice. That's right. I said it. Have a bold voice. What do I mean by that? That means that you need to be unapologetic. That means that you know your stuff so well, you're going to sit there. And if you have to prove a point to someone, you're going to go to bat for your business. You're going to go to bat for your clients. I know, actually in the last week, I've had some new clients that I started to work with. And when I asked them, like, what attracted you to me? Why did you start working with me? Out of all the business coaches out there, why did you select Dr. Carey? And they said, because you're very bold on social media. Like, your voice is crystal clear. You stand up for what you believe in. You don't back down. And you have this confidence about yourself and about your business that I want. I want that too. And so I knew that you were going to be the person that could help me. And so just imagine if I shrunk back, especially here on LinkedIn. You all have seen my story and some of the things that have taken place with me on LinkedIn, where I stood my ground. I dug in my stilettos. I didn't let up. I knew I was right, and I pushed back. And so many times I see so many people that have these great businesses, but the minute that they are challenged, they shrink, they shrivel up, and they don't speak up and they don't speak out. And I know the passion is there, but they don't have the voice. And their voice, if they have a voice, their voice is not bold. Their voice is not loud. They are not being heard. And sometimes it's because they are afraid of being heard. I have so many people say this. They say, I am not trying to burn any bridges. And so I have a saying about that. Some bridges need to be burned the hell down. Some bridges just need to come on down. Y'all trying to hold on to stuff that's not trying to hold on to you. You trying to hold on to images and perceptions that have never fit you in the first place. And because you are not walking in your purpose and allowing yourself to be heard and using your voice and speaking boldly and loudly, guess what? You are suffocating and your business is suffering because you are trying to be a people pleaser. I don't have time to be a people pleaser. I am here to work with the chosen few that God has led me to work with. And that's it. If other people don't like what I'm doing, that's great. You're not my ideal client. You're not my audience. You go on about your business and I'm going to keep working with the ones that I was assigned to work with. It's that simple. But I'm going to speak up for them and I'm going to speak up for my business. And if you come for me and I didn't send for you, we already know that's not going to end nicely because I am not going to back down. I'm always going to stand boldly in my truth. And my truth is my business. And my business is helping Black women to build and grow businesses that they love. That's it. That's what I do. So I really want you guys to really think about all that I've talked about tonight. And what does it really take for you to, again, how to create a movement? And so when I wrap all of this up, in 3 years, guys, so in 2017, I walked away from my full-time job. It will be 4 years in October. So October 2016, I walked away. In 2017, I went on this journey of being a full-time entrepreneur for one of the first times in my life, no safety net. In that 3-year time period, I have created a movement that empowers women to be entrepreneurs. I've created a whole virtual community, Beauty Brains in Business. We have a network, we have a podcast, we have live classes. So when I talk about creating a movement, that is what it encompasses for me. So if someone is sitting there and saying, well, what is her movement? That's my movement. We now have a whole website where you can go and get everything that you need. But it took time. It took time for me to figure out what my voice was, what my message was, what was the lifestyle of the individuals that I served and the individuals that I wanted to serve. I had to move. In my movement, I always had to be consistent, and my message always had to be consistent. And I had to remember that in everything that I did. I had to remember that my message needed to be clear, that I couldn't cloud it and people couldn't be confused about what it is that she does and why is she doing what she does. And I will say this, even when I was a mental health practitioner and had a private practice for 20 years, the people that I serviced were women. Those women were women who had been sexually abused or sexually assaulted, but it was still women. That has always been the core group that I've always worked with and focused on. Again, making sure that I am giving people something that's worth following, because no one has to follow me. They can follow all of these other business coaches that are out there, but I have to make sure that I stand out. And the way that I do that is I have to be bold. I have to be able to stand up and not worry about upsetting other people, because if I'm upsetting you, again, you're not my ideal client. You're not a part of my audience. You're just a bystander. You're a spectator, and you want to jump in every now and then and disrupt what we have going on. Again, I have to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to let you disrupt this. You go somewhere else and you do what you do, but not over here. We're not playing that. And so in the past 3 years, these are the things that I have used to incorporate when building the movement of the Beauty Brains in Business community. And that's what we have going on now. And my thing is, I want to see other people, especially women. I want you all to have the same thing. So these are some things that you need to work on. And there might be some areas that you're a little weak in, that you need to spruce up. But figure out what you need to do and get started. Get started right now in doing what it is that you need to do.